Video I want to talk about passing, and we're not actually passing. We're going to focus on how to control the guard and then pass it. So when you say passing, everyone thinks about passing the guard, which makes sense when you talk about it, but there's a phase before that that you need to focus on more than or just as much, and it's the phase before passing, and it's understanding your positioning and what it means. Okay, so an example could be, say if James is down in guard, I could choose to have my legs separate, split, or square. Okay, and this is usually dictating like what my intentions are for passing this guard, or it can be setting up what I want to do depending on what they want. But if we were going off somebody pulling guard, what we did in the last video was as James pulled, I would split into this lead, this kneeling position, sorry. Okay, and now we have a lead leg and a lead arm. Our defense is catered around this, and if this becomes vulnerable, we can switch or look to disengage the position. But when you're in a position with the leg in the middle, I want you to think about all of the bends in the body on the lead part of your body. Okay, if your opponent is able to control a bend in the body, then they're going to control the distance. Okay, whereas the less of those they have, the more you are controlling and you compress the pressure. So say an example would be just coming into position here, like a knee cup position. So if I'm here, okay, so wait, this is already happening for James. So he's controlling the back of my leg where it bends here, and this is where it's most effective to control. Just taking this off doesn't look a million miles different, but it is. Okay, his ability to off balance me and extend this leg is changed. Another thing he can do, if he switches his hips to the other side and puts a De La Riva hook in here, then he's also controlling my leg. He can couple this with a grip on the ankle or on the pants, both in this grip, and he can also feed to my far hip, controlling both this hip and behind my knee. Okay, so go back. So you want to think about when you're in the position, who's inside, and what I mean by that is like, am I inside his body or is he inside mine? So if he has this hook inside my leg, I have to address it before I progress. Okay, because he has options. Now your opponent may not be good at using it, but someone who is will use it to their advantage. So your training partners are not going to be amazing at using everything, but the ones who are good at using it will be effective. So get used to clearing that off. A really simple thing we can do is we can stand and take away anything from the hook on. So from the hook in there, it's very difficult. As I bend, this hook gets reinforced. So a really common thing with hooks is that when the body's bent, the hook's more effective. Okay, so when he's in here, it's more effective, but if I'm here, not so effective. Now, it still can be utilized in different ways. You can go up to the hip instead. You have to use your hand to assist and then close that space. Now, from the put it in, it's difficult. Okay, so another really common thing you're going to deal with is the knee shield on your hip. This is probably the most common. He is in the bend of my hip. Okay, now as I bring this behind, I'm starting to dominate the top of his knee. But what we want to think about when we're here is not allowing these to come in. So thinking of ways to get this out of here is really important, so we can start opening and coming inside. Now as we start to shore up our positioning from the ground up, he's going to move higher, so he can use a lasso. Okay, he can also use a spider. Okay, he can sit up and hook behind the leg, controlling the back of my leg, and he can also put a hook on the instep of my foot. So if we move around, so in this shin on shin position, especially in here, this doesn't look like a lot, but he can lift and extend me behind the line of his hips and he can control my hip with his butterfly hook or a knee shield or whatever he wants. The more of these affordances I give him, the more he's winning, essentially, and the less you're putting pressure on him. The more he can chill and you have to work. So bearing this in mind, this is what you want to have, is you have a lead leg and a lead arm, and their primary goal is to shield you from his controls. Okay, so when you're here, is your partner is going to try and control one of your bends, essentially. Okay, and what you're going to do is just stay in this position for as long as you can. They're going to try to get inside and put your bum on the floor, and all we're going to try to do is maintain this position.